Can I help you? Take your hand off me. Hi, my name is Scott Rogers. I'm an expert in Kyusho-jitsu pressure point fighting. Kyusho-jitsu is using acupuncture points of the body to cause damage or injure as opposed to heal. In this tape, we're going to cover using points that can be activated by pressing, rubbing, or squeezing. In other words, using the fingertips as opposed to striking. The advantage in not striking is you can control the amount of damage you're going to inflict, and you can also control an opponent to set up a more damaging strike to follow. I'm going to bring my assistant Dusan out, and we're going to continue from here. There are over 360 pressure points on the body. All of them respond to striking, but not nearly as many respond to fingertip pressure or squeezing. The majority of the points that respond to squeezing lie along the region of the arms, the face and neck, and the lower portion of the body. What we're going to try to do is we're going to start with the arm points. We're going to work our way up. We're going to show you some on the legs, some on the head and neck. We're going to show you their applications. We're going to show you the effects that they cause. Then we're going to show you how to combine the points together. A very good way of combining points is to go from the arm point to get control immediately to a head or a neck point. The first one we're going to cover is at the lower section of the arm. It's called large intestine 4. It lies between the thumb and the forefinger. We're going to show you on Dusan. Follow the fingers down. Where they come to the meeting point is where the point is. Now, a lot of people will press into it towards the wrist or the arm. This will not have the right effect. What we need to do is press in the direction towards the index finger. So as we squeeze this way and press it against the bone, you can see the pain that it causes and the body reaction that you get. Something else that you may or not have noticed is if he has his hand closed and you squeeze, it forces the hand open. So if he was gripping me, I can squeeze it to make him open. If he was holding a weapon, I can squeeze it to make him drop it. Let's say we have a situation where he's behind me in a bear hug, and I can't get out with striking. Sometimes he's very close. I can't use any strikes. I have no room. I have to resort to squeezing. So what I'm going to do is use my thumb, squeeze into the point. As soon as he lets go, I could bring him around. I could set him up for a more damaging strike, for a wrist lock, which he's in effect for, an arm bar, a kick to the face. Basically, it's your choice, but you've put yourself in a good position. This exact same point can be used in a grappling situation, meaning standing or on the ground. So for example, if we were down in the mount position, all right, Jason, and he was holding onto my arms for control and I couldn't release, all I would have to do is reach and squeeze. Once I had this position from here, I could continue with a grappling move. We could use his fingers for control, or we can twist him in the exact same way that we did while we were standing. All right, so this is large intestine 4, between the thumb and the index finger. The next point on the hand that we're going to cover is triple warmer 3. Triple warmer 3 is opposite large intestine 4. It's between the pinky finger and the other finger, right between the joint. So when he grabs, I want to find the last 2 knuckles. I want to go up about an inch, and this is where the point is. The way we press this is you can use your thumb, but it's easier if you take a knuckle and you just squeeze. It forces his hand open, setting up fingers. The reason this point is important is if he was grabbing underneath the arms like before, I have my hands free, I can use my thumbs. If he goes over my arms, I can't use my thumbs, but I can still find the point and access it with the knuckle. So if I have even more restricted motion, one more time, I find the point on either hand and I dig in. Now, of course, once I'm here, I need to turn and face him so that he doesn't turn it into a chokehold or a punching situation. What you're going to find is the points on the hand make the hand open. But as we travel up the arm that you'll see later, it will affect the body a little bit more. So when he grabs and I do this, the hand opens and he comes forward a little bit. If we were to do a point further up on the arm, we would be able to make his entire body react. So the points on the lower arm, you get a quicker reaction, but the less body movement. As we move up the arm, the reaction's a little bit slower, but we have more control over his body. So triple warmer 3 between these two fingers can be squeezed with the hand. If you have a good grip, you can use the thumb and squeeze it, but it's best used with a center knuckle. Place the knuckle, dig in, and again, rub. Make him let go. Generally, if he was attacking the lower body, we would attack his lower, meaning here. As he goes higher up, it's a little awkward to get to this position, so we'll attack closer to the elbow. If he was to pull me in closer, I would leave the arms together and I would go towards the head or the neck. So while you can use all the points in all the situations, some points lend themselves more easily to be attacked. The further down he grabs, usually the further down you will attack. The higher up he grabs, usually the higher up you will attack. So triple warmer 3 between these two fingers. Next point we're going to cover is called pericardium 8. Pericardium 8 lies in the center of the wrist, exactly 2 fingers up from the crease of the wrist. So again, we'll use Dusan to show. What you do with your partner when you're learning is you place 2 fingers right on the line. That is the height of the point. Now you find the center, and that's where the thumb is going to press. A couple of things about activating pressure points. When we press, a lot of people have a tendency to use the pad of the thumb. If I use this part of my thumb, my hand is not strong enough to get any effect. We have to treat our fingers like needles and use the point. So as we're here, instead of letting the pad drop, I let the point come in between the tendons, I squeeze, and I get the effect. This particular point requires a little bit more than squeezing. In order to affect it, we need to press in as far as it will go, straight down, and then pull back. So I press in till he feels it, and then I pull the finger back, which brings him towards me. So it's down and back. So let's say he was grabbing and I couldn't get him to let go. I would find the point, I would press my thumb in as far as it would go, he'd feel it a little bit, and when I pull it back, that's when I get the effect. Okay? So one more time. So he grabs, I expose it. If it's all the way down here, I can't find it. I lead with the tip of the thumb, not the pad, so I start with the thumb bent. Another mistake a lot of people make is they use their fingers. So we're just going to turn a little bit. They use their fingers on this side and they try to pinch. The entire hand needs to form a base. This way his hand doesn't move. If I'm pinching this way, this is not a very strong grip. I want a good grip with my thumb coming down. So as he's here, I get a good grip, my thumb goes down, squeeze, pull back towards myself. From this position, we could grab his chin, we could do all kinds of other techniques, but we first have to get control. If he was grabbing us with both hands, we would just have to find one side or the other. It wouldn't really matter. Automatically, we're in a position to strike, twist, knee strike, throw him, anything that your particular style is suited for. So this point is pericardium 8. It lies 2 fingers above the crease of the wrist, dead center. The next 2 points we're going to cover work together. That's why we're using them at the same time. They're considered to be 2 of the most important points that you can learn in Kyushu Jitsu, and they're called Heart 5 and Lung 8. They lie on either side of the wrist bone. The reason these points are so important is any situation where you can grab your opponent's arm will be increased, your effectiveness will be increased by having your hands on these points. So if he was to throw a punch and I was managing to get a grip from here, I would be on the points. If he was grabbing me and I was just holding his arm to do something, if I could be on the points, it would be more effective. So close to the wrist, most people won't grab up high. They'll grab down here, they'll grab this way. Just by changing your hand position and finding those points, you'll have a bigger measure of control over your opponent. The points lie exactly here and here, like a wristband going around him, about a ½ an inch above the little bump. So when I grab, what I want to do is on the top one, I'm going to put my index finger, again, using the point, not using the pad. Don't grab like this. The point goes here. For the thumb, I can't get my thumb in there because of the position, so what I do is I use this knuckle, and I squeeze. Now, once I squeeze, to get a little bit more effect, I rotate the hand towards me, which brings his hand towards his body and brings his head towards me. Something else that you'll notice is, let's say he's grabbing me. This arm will tend to go back. He hit himself with his hand. This arm will tend to go back, which if he was about to throw a punch would make it very difficult for him to do. It also puts his head in range for me to strike. If he was here, he would see me doing this strike and it would be very slow. When he grabs, I bring him in. Once I'm here, I make a decision. Do I want to injure him by striking him, or do I want to easily bring him down to the ground possibly and just control him? That would depend on the situation, how dangerous it was, or how I felt about it. There were 3 or 4 people around, I would have to hit him. If it was one person, he was just grabbing me, I would just control him. That's a decision that you would have to make. This position can be worked from this position or from this side. So I can use this hand if he grabbed me on this side. If he threw, let's say, a punch, I'd be able to lock his wrist here and control him. And again, setting up a future technique. So the 2 points that we're covering are heart 5, which is the bottom point, and lung 8, which is the top point. Point we're going to cover next is called lung 5. This is one of my favorite points for striking. It's also very effective for squeezing or grappling. The reason this point is very effective is the further up the arm that we travel, as opposed to the wrist, where this one's near the elbow, the more it's going to control the opponent's legs and his posture. All right, for example, let's say he's grabbing. When I squeeze this point, his entire body is affected, as opposed to when we squeezed one of the other ones where he was affected, but just not quite in the same degree. This particular point, lung 5, is located on the thumb side of the arm, below the elbow joint, right in this spot. Easiest way to find it is what I call the clock method. We look at the circle and we make a clock. 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 8 o'clock. And it's right about 7 o'clock. And we squeeze deep inside. A good application for this is if somebody grabs you, you can do it either with your center finger or your thumb. That will be determined by the size of your hand. People with small hands, they're going to have a hard time doing it this way. It'll be easier here. You can also do it with the opposite hand. So we'll do with the thumb to show first. We're going to squeeze. Now when we squeeze the point, we're causing pain. So he feels it. You could see by the look on his face, but he didn't move. He didn't move because I didn't move him. Now he's moved. This is based on my control. If, let's say, I had multiple opponents and there was somebody in that direction, I would move him this way. So whenever you squeeze a pressure point, understand that you're putting pain into the point. But in order to control the opponent, you have to direct them in a manner that you see fit. This exact same point, if he was to choke me or grab me, I can use either one or I could use both to really control him. Now from here, a follow-up knee strike or a kick would be good, or I can easily throw him, bringing him to the ground. So whether I use one side or both sides will be determined by whether he's attacking me with one hand or two. If he attacks me with one hand and I'm doing something with two hands, he's going to punch me. But if he's got two hands on me, double grab. If he's got two hands on me, I can use two hands easily because I know he can't strike me with his hands. I only have to worry about his legs. And like we said before, once we squeeze the points, he cannot kick when his body drops like that, but I can. So it gives me two weapons to use and him none. So the point we covered was lung 5, again on the thumb side of the arm, right in this spot. The next points we're going to cover are large intestine 10 and 11. The reason we're covering them together is they're located about an inch apart, which means when you're reaching for one, sometimes you'll get the other one. It gives you a much bigger area to cover. Most pressure points are about the size of a quarter. If we put two of them together, that gives us a much larger surface area for us to reach for. For our opponents wearing clothing or our vision's obstructed, we can't see, it'll be easier to go for areas where there's more than one point because we're more likely to hit one. This point complements the point that we did previously, the lung 5 point. When he grabs, we use the lung 5 point to control his knees and bring him down. Depending on the position of his arm, if he were to turn his hand a little bit, I couldn't get to the lung 5 point. But on this mound of muscle right here, in the center is the large intestine point. And when we squeeze it, it's even more effective. If you can see, it brings him right down to his knees. This point, I use these 2 points for what I call directional self-defense. I bring this point, usually if I want to bring him across, and we'll use the lung 5 point if we want to bring him in the other direction. So again, when you're dealing with multiple opponents or different situations where you need to control, we want to be able to bring him this direction and bring him in that direction to shield ourselves from other attacks. So any type of grabbing attack, if he does a single grab,